Today we are looking at an Italian film about a beautiful 19 years old girl named Lucy. In the summer holidays, Lucy goes back to Italy to meet her old lover, but she also plans on trying to find her biological father in Italy. The movie is named Stealing Beauty. The movie starts with Lucy going to America from Italy to visit her mother's friends on a vacation. Her mother was a famous poet and model who just died recently. About 20 years ago, her mother Sarah came to Italy where she started a community called Tuscan Villa, which was very different from the normal society. People were very open-minded in this community, and they would express their feelings and emotions through art and paintings. Lucy's mother fell in love with a married man while living in Italy, but when she became pregnant with him, she left for the United States without telling anyone about her whereabouts and married another man there. She used to write her whole story in a diary, and Lucy got her hands on that diary only after her death. She read it and came to know that her current father is not her biological father and her actual father is in Italy, so she decides to go to Italy in her summer vacation holidays. She meets Diana and Ian after reaching Italy. They both were kind of leaders of the small community and were also best friends with Lucy's mother, and so, Ian warmly welcomes Lucy and takes her to show her the room she will stay in. At night, Lucy takes out a photograph from the diary and takes a close look at it. The picture was of herself with a young boy named Nicolo. She met him a few years back when she came to the very same place with her mother on vacation, and she kissed for the first time here with Nicolo. The reason for her visit is to find the love of her life and find her biological father. She wanted to make a love sandwich with Nicolo as she believed that she should make love for the first time with the same person that she kissed for the first time. Lucy is lost in these love-making thoughts when she hears an old man coughing who is sitting outside her home, but she pays no attention to him and goes for a swim where she meets Diana's daughter Miranda. She is sunbathing with her boyfriend Richard. Richard is stunned by Lucy's beauty, but he controls his emotions because of her girlfriend. Miranda tells Lucy that her brother Christopher is out on a road trip with Nicolo and will return soon. At night, Lucy tries to sleep while remembering Nicolo, but ends up crying in bed and there is a knock on the door. It's the same man who was sitting outside her home. He asks for a cigarette and starts ranting about his life to Lucy while smoking. His real name is Alex and he is the owner of a famous art gallery in New York. They end up talking for a long time while smoking together and she tells him that she is still a virgin. She thinks that Alex is an old and sick man who won't tell her secret to anyone, but he tells the truth to everyone at lunch the very next day. All those at the table start laughing at her and she gets angry at Alex but doesn't let anyone know of her anger. Diana's youngest daughter Daisy comes there and takes Lucy to a place where her elder sister Miranda used to kiss different boys. She tells her that she has seen her sister kissing Richard, John, Matthew as well as Nicolo, and Lucy feels bad when she hears Nicolo's name in the list, but lets it go. At night, she hears noises coming from Miranda's and Richard's room. She gets close to the door and sees that Richard and Miranda are sleeping together. She is enjoying her moment sneaking up on them, but then she drops a stick from her hand and Richard gets scared because of that. He comes outside to check who was there, but Lucy hides. He somewhat realizes that the person who was sneaking was no one else but Lucy because she is the only young person in the house and it could only be her interest. The very next morning, they are having fun, but Richard makes a move on her at the very same moment. Miranda sees Richard doing such a hideous thing and she screams at him for that. After that, she takes Alex to the same swimming pool where she met Miranda and to her surprise, people there were already discussing her virginity. She gets very upset and goes back to the house where she plans to go back to New York, but we come to know that Christopher and Nicolo have come back from the trip. Christopher recognizes her at the very first glance, but Nicole hadn't even seen her before, which means that he didn't. When she tells her surname, Nicolo remembers that she is the same girl he kissed 4 years back. She is very happy because the love of her life finally came back 4 years. She came a very long way to meet her love and now they make a plan to meet at dinner. We can see that Lucy is very happy about the dinner and that she found her love back. At night she goes to the dinner after long preparations and Christopher had come there too along with Nicolo. After dinner, everyone tells each other the stories of how and when they lost their virginity. Just like that, when Lucy is about to kiss Nicolo, she starts to vomit because of excessive drinking. She vomits on Nicolo and Christopher gets jealous after seeing this. He was thinking something else at that time. The next day when Lucy is in her room, Richard comes to meet her and tries to seduce her. They start licking each other in a very strange way when at the same moment, Miranda comes into the room. Richard tries to tell her what was actually happening and goes after her like a dog. Lucy goes to meet Nicolo at his house and his maid tells Lucy that Nicolo was cutting grass in the garden. She decides to go to the garden and surprise Nicolo, but she sees that Nicolo is very busy. He is already making out with another girl, so she decides not to disturb him. Lucy feels very sad and goes back to her house on her bicycle. On the way back she is riding the cycle at a fast pace and Christopher sees her. Lucy hits a speed breaker and falls to the ground, to which Christopher runs towards her to help her. Christopher goes and helps her, but due to the bad mood, she goes away without even saying thank you to him. She goes straight to Alex, who sees her injury and gives her first aid. They talk to each other for a while, and on the way out, Lucy kisses him on the cheek as a thank you for the help. Alex feels good and starts to remember his days of youth. He is not expecting anything more from Lucy because he has gotten old and cannot be indulged in such activities again. The very next day Lucy sits in a semi-nude position for a painting, and after that, her sculpture will be made as well. Nicolo and Christopher come there as well when Nicolo sees her sitting like that and want to get intimate with her, but Christopher is a nice guy and he doesn't look at her the way Nicolo was looking. After a while, when the painting is completed, she goes into the garden for some space. Nicolo also follows her through the garden, and after a while, he finally approaches her. She also stops and they kiss passionately without anyone's fear. They are about to start the main course when Lucy stops him. At this point, she had realized that Nicolo was a playboy and she cannot obviously repeat the same mistake her mother did. She leaves him there and goes to Alex when she gets home. Alex consoles Lucy after seeing her like this, and she shares the diary of her mother with Alex. Her father's name was never mentioned in the diary. Her father was mentioned in the diary by some puzzles and stories. As Alex is a writer, he helps her to solve the puzzles. He tells her that her father is an Italian who is also an artist. She was born after her father and her mother were in a relationship for a long time. Lucy wanted Alex to be her father because he is a very nice guy. She likes spending time with Alex, but he denies that he is not her father as he never had a relationship with her mother. The next day, Lucy goes to a party wearing her mother's clothes. She sees Nicolo there also, but with another girl. Ignoring him, he goes forward where he sees Christopher in the music band. She wanted to dance with Christopher, but he was already dancing with another girl. She meets a foreigner at the party with whom she smokes a cigarette. Everyone thinks that finally, Lucy got a guy. She also pretends that she got someone. On the way back, she is stopped by Christopher, who asks her for information about America as he is going there soon. She tells him to talk tomorrow, and after coming to the house, the foreigner starts to unbox her, but Lucy stops him as well. Nothing happens in between them that night, but the community thinks that she is not a virgin anymore. The next day, Alex is on deathbed because of excessive smoking. Lucy talks to him for the last time, and they get very emotional. Sitting in her room, she sees some of the sculptures that Ian made. Looking at them carefully, she starts to understand the puzzles that her mother left in the diary. No one except Ian was like her mother told in the diary, upon which she goes and confronts Ian right away. She asks him about the year 1975, which is her birth date. After such a large amount of clues, it still doesn't get clear whether Ian is her father or not. He mentions that both of them slept together a lot of times that year. After all of that, Ian finally accepts her as her daughter. Christopher comes to meet Lucy where she gets stung by a honeybee. Christopher takes her to a nearby lake where he puts clay on her stringed arm. They go to talk about the things he was gonna ask, but there he tells her that he wrote the letter on the behalf of Nicolo, because of which she fell in love with him. He also tells her that Nicolo had stopped writing her letter, but he was the one who did that part. She cannot believe that he was the one who wrote all those letters. Christopher takes her to the tree which he described in the letters. Lucy and Chris talk to each other under that tree, and in the evening they make a love sandwich there too. She finally loses her virginity there after such long tries, and her dream also completes. She lost her virginity to the person whom she loved, which means that she didn't love Nicolo, but she loved the person who wrote those letters. On the next day, they head back to the house where Christopher tells her that it was his first time too. Hearing this makes her happy, and the movie ends here. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more such movie recaps. Press the bell icon and become a part of the cool squad.